My name is Misael from Evap Laboratory, and today we're talking about the plug-and pin harness for the Lexus SC400. Now, to be specific, it is for the non-VVTi OBD1 SC400s, and the vehicle has to be already converted to manual. It will not control the stock A340e transmission. Okay, so to explain and elaborate a little bit more about the plug-and pin, basically you will be cutting your harness and terminating the matching Deutsch connectors to this harness, which will then connect to the ECU. And the weapon of choice for the ECU will be the Megasquirt MS3, specifically with the MS3X expansion board, because the base map that will be provided for you is specific to this harness, this setup, and for the MS3X expansion board as well. Okay, so the main reason why I decided to do a plug-and pin setup instead of a plug-and-play is because the header connectors were hard to source, would cost a lot of money for me, which will then be transferred to the customer, which will be you. And then it would also, for manufacturing sake, have a soldering point that I didn't want. So as you see, this whole harness, the main harness, and then the sub harness here are all solder free. So there's no soldering points, no brittle points, nothing. So when it comes to vibrations, it's gonna be a lot more sturdier. You can bend the harness while you're driving and it will not fail or lose any connections. So a lot of people go the route of the piggybacks, where you're still kind of on a crutch and you're combating the stock ECU. If you're already cutting, tapping in with the piggyback, some piggybacks will be as expensive as, let's say, some standalones. So if you're already cutting and getting used to that, maybe this will be a solution for you, so that way you can have full control and extras on this harness that you won't be able to get through a piggyback. Okay, so talking about features and extras, the first thing I will talk about is the features of this harness and the way I have set it up for you, the customer. So the Megasquirt uses a M.A.P system, so that way you can get rid of the MAF, get rid of that big bulky metal piece out of the car, and then it will be sequential injection. Okay, sequential injection with the help of this sub harness, which all the instructions and where to hook it up will be in the installation video that will come later in the future, as well as the Deutsch connector pins. Okay, harness is compatible with the stock ignition system. Most people want to go coil and plug. That might be a project I'll take on in the future, but for now this is going to be compatible with the stock ignition system and will suffice for most people's power level. So you also won't have to sacrifice comfort. So this will have AC control. You want to race on Saturday but still have AC on the way to work Monday through Friday. We're here in hot Florida, so we definitely need that AC. So if you want to gain performance but not lose any comfort, this will have AC control that you can modify based on your parameters that you choose. You still have a check engine light. You still will have evaporative emissions control, so you still have control over your purge valve, so you won't have any issues with your gas tank overpressurizing. And then this will delete the fuel VSV on your SC400 as well as the fuel pump ECU. So it will require you to do a 12-volt mod, which will be to rip out the stock ECU and hook up 12 volts directly to the fuel pump. Okay, the other thing will be it will delete the O2 sensors, so that way you get rid of the narrow bands, and that will allow you to just screw in the wideband sensors. And again, like I said, it is provided with a base map specifically for this setup. Now the extras that I have built into this harness, which again you will have to terminate the matching Deutsch connectors for these. So this will be for the sub harness. This will be for CAN bus. So if you wanted to add more sensors or hook up the Megasquirt GPIO board to give you more inputs, more outputs, more sensors, you can definitely do that. I didn't want to make this so rigid and not so flexible, so that way, you know, you can add more sensors, more things, so you can get more information or more control, whichever one you like. The extra Deutsch connector that I have here will allow you to hook up the wideband, so that way you can send the signal directly to the Megasquirt. You'll have Nitrous Control, launch control, you have a Datalog input, and then again, like I said, you'll have the CAN bus, and then for turbo applications, you'll have a boost solenoid output. So that is the basics of this harness. I wanted to open up the opportunities to many people who have the 1UZ engine, or again in the SC400 chassis, and hopefully this will expand into different UZ models 1, 2, and 3, and maybe even into different chassis, whether it be LS400, the Tundras, and so on and there forth. All right, and hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. I've been working on this for 2 years, and now it's become a reality, and hopefully the cost is low enough for most people to get a hold of it, and possibly everybody will make pretty good power on a pretty decent setup here that I have for everybody. And thank you again, and this is from Adapt Laboratory.